The words hit me like a gut punch from a ghost. Cold, invisible, and utterly devastating. Harold, we're letting you go. You're just too old for this pace. My boss, Derek, barely 35 with his gelled hair and that perpetual smirk of unearned confidence, leaned back in his ergonomic chair, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like a swarm of angry bees. The conference room smelled of stale coffee and fresh betrayal, the air thick enough to choke on. My hands, calloused from decades of typing code into oblivion, clenched the armrests until my knuckles whitened. Too old. At 58, I'd built this company's backbone from scratch, lines of code that hummed like a symphony under their shiny apps. And now, this kid I'd mentored, hell, I'd taught him how to debug his first script, was discarding me like yesterday's glitch. Rage boiled up from my chest, hot and acrid, tasting like bile on my tongue. I wanted to lunge across the table, grab his crisp button-down by the collar, and scream until the glass walls shattered. But I didn't. Instead, I sat there, frozen, my heart pounding an erratic drumbeat against my ribs. Humiliation washed over me in waves, each one dragging me deeper into a pit of self-doubt. Was I really obsolete? The man who'd architected their entire network security, who stayed up nights patching vulnerabilities while they partied. This wasn't about age. It was about greed. They'd squeeze me out, hire some fresh grad for half the salary, and pat themselves on the back for innovation. As Derek droned on about severance, 2 months' pay, a joke after 22 years, my mind fractured into shards of resentment. I pictured his face crumpling under my fist, the satisfying crack of bone. But fantasies weren't enough. No, this demanded something sharper, something that would echo through their servers like a digital scream. By the time I stumbled out of the building, my badge deactivated with a final mocking beep, the seed of revenge had taken root. It twisted in my gut, a dark vine promising sweet, poisonous fruit. The drive home blurred into a haze of red taillights and honking horns, the city's skyline mocking me with its relentless progress. My apartment, a cramped 2-bedroom in a fading suburb, welcomed me with a musty scent of neglect, bookshelves sagging under tech manuals, a half-eaten sandwich from last night molding on the counter. I collapsed into my worn leather chair, the one my late wife, Ellen, had bought me before cancer stole her 5 years ago. Her absence hit harder now, a fresh wound amid the old scars. "What would you say, Elle?" I whispered to the empty room, my voice cracking. She'd always tempered my fire, reminding me that grudges were chains we forged ourselves. But she wasn't here, and neither was the man I'd been before this betrayal. Obsession gripped me like a vice. I paced the living room, the creak of floorboards underscoring my racing thoughts. Denial flickered first. Maybe it was a mistake. Derek had seemed hesitant, his eyes darting to the HR rep, a mousy woman named Carla who nodded like a puppet. But no, it was deliberate. I'd overheard whispers in the break room weeks ago. Budget cuts. Fresh blood. They'd planned this, sidelining me in meetings, assigning my projects to juniors. Heartbreak clawed at me. This company had been my family after Ellen. I'd poured my soul into it, only to be spat out. By midnight, resentment had hardened into resolve. I booted up my old laptop, the fan whirring like an accusation. As the sysadmin, I'd left back doors. Innocent oversights, or so I'd told myself. Ethical. Maybe not, but in a world where loyalty meant nothing, why play fair? My fingers danced over the keys, muscle memory guiding me through VPN tunnels and encrypted ports. Doubt nagged at me. What if I got caught? Prison at my age. But the image of Derek's smug face drowned it out. I probed their firewall gently, a ghost in the machine, checking logs for anomalies. Nothing yet. This would be surgical, not a sledgehammer. Morning light filtered through grimy blinds, casting shadows like prison bars across my desk. I hadn't slept, my eyes burning from the screen's glow. Guilt seeped in now, cold and insidious. Was I becoming the monster they accused me of being? Outdated, bitter? I thought of my daughter, Sarah, 28 and climbing her own corporate ladder in Seattle. If she knew. But she didn't call much anymore, busy with her life. Isolation fueled my fire. No one left to pull me back. I showered, the hot water scalding my skin, but it couldn't wash away the fury. Dressing in my usual flannel and jeans, comfort clothes for a man unmoored, I drove to a dingy coffee shop downtown, the kind with sticky tables and bitter brew. There, amid the clatter of keyboards from remote workers, I planned. Subtle hints first. A minor glitch in the email server, enough to raise eyebrows but not alarms. Let them sweat, wonder if it was my ghost haunting them. Back home I dialed an old colleague, Tom, who'd retired last year. His voice crackled over the line, warm but wary. "Harold. Heard the news. Bastards." "Yeah," I grunted, forcing casualness. "They say why." A pause, heavy with unspoken truths. "Age, man. Derek's pushing for agile teams. But listen, you built that place. Don't do anything stupid." His words stung, revealing my transparency. "Stupid? Like what?" "You know what. Those back doors. We all have skeletons." I laughed it off, but tension coiled tighter. Tom had motives too. Resentment from his own exit. Was he warning me or fishing? Paranoia bloomed, every shadow a potential spy. That afternoon I executed the first probe. From a public Wi-Fi at the library, surrounded by the hush of turning pages and the faint scent of old books, I slipped into their system. A simple script. Delay payroll processing by an hour. Harmless, but a whisper of chaos. As I watched the logs confirm it, a thrill shot through me. Power raw and intoxicating. But doubt followed. Was this justice or pettiness? I imagined Ellen's disapproving gaze. Her soft voice urging forgiveness. Moral conflict tore at me. Revenge felt right, yet tainted. By evening my phone buzzed. "Sarah. Dad." I heard from Aunt Linda. "You okay?" Her concern pierced the armor I'd built. "Fine, kiddo. Just time for a change. You sound off. Don't bottle it up." We talked for an hour, her words a lifeline I almost grasped. But as she hung up, resentment surged anew. Why fight fair when they didn't? I refined the plan. Target their core database at 3 p.m. tomorrow, during the peak demo for investors. A cascade failure, untraceable to me. Obsession deepened. I barely ate, my body fueled by adrenaline. Night fell, the city outside my window a neon blur. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling cracks like veins in marble. Fantasies played out. Derek panicking, screens flickering to black. But guilt whispered. What about the innocents? The juniors I'd trained, now collateral. Cold resolve silenced it. They'd learn life's cruelty, just as I had. The next morning I met Derek for exit formalities at a neutral cafe, the aroma of fresh pastries clashing with the bitterness in my throat. He slid over papers, avoiding my eyes. "No hard feelings, Harold. Business, you know." "Business," I echoed, my voice laced with suppressed rage. "After all I gave." He shifted, uncomfortable. "Look, the board pushed it. You're a legend, but times change." His admission fueled me. Confirmation of betrayal from above. But his eyes held regret, a flicker of humanity. Layered like me. Did he feel guilt? Or was it manipulation? I signed, hands steady despite the storm inside. Walking away, suspense built like a storm cloud. The clock ticked toward 3 p.m. Subtle hints emerged, a colleague texted. "Weird lag today." "Your ghost." I smiled darkly. The slow burn ignited. The hours dragged like chains, each minute amplifying the tension coiling in my chest. I holed up in my apartment, the blinds drawn against the midday sun, casting the room in a dim, conspiratorial glow. My laptop screen reflected my haggard face, bags under my eyes, stubble shadowing my jaw like regret. I'd scripted the final blow overnight, a worm that would burrow into their cloud infrastructure, triggering a domino effect. Databases corrupted, servers overloaded, all timed for 3 p.m. when the investor pitch peaked. Poetic justice. their agile future crumbling under my outdated code. But doubt gnawed deeper now, a rat in my skull. What if it backfired? Traced to me via some overlooked log. Prison loomed, a gray void where resentment would fester eternally. Moral conflict raged. Was I avenging betrayal or becoming the betrayer? Ellen's memory haunted me. She'd hated vengeance, preaching empathy even as chemo ravaged her. Hate poisons you first, she'd said. Yet here I was brewing digital toxin. A knock at the door jolted me. Sarah, unannounced. She stood there, wind-blown from the drive, her eyes searching mine. "Dad, you look like hell. Talk to me." I let her in, the scent of her lavender shampoo a stark contrast to my stale air. We sat at the kitchen table, cluttered with printouts of code snippets. "It's nothing," I lied, but my voice betrayed me, cracking like thin ice. "Bull. And Linda said you were furious. And Tom called me, worried you're planning something." Betrayal stung anew. Tom, that snake. Had he guessed? Planning. Like what? Retirement. She leaned forward, her hand on mine, warm and insistent. "Revenge, Dad. Don't. It's not you." Her words pierced, revealing my fractured self. Heartbreak flooded in. I'd mentored Derek like a son, only for him to stab me. Now Sarah saw the monster emerging. "They humiliated me," I whispered, resentment spilling out. "Tossed aside like trash." "I know," she said softly, eyes glistening. "But sinking to their level. Mom wouldn't want that." Guilt crashed over me, a tidal wave. I almost confessed, fingers hovering over the delete key. But then my phone pinged. A news alert from the company's internal feed, leaked somehow. "Exciting investor demo at 3. Big things ahead." Derek's face beamed in the photo, smug as ever. Rage reignited, cold and precise. No turning back. Sarah left after lunch, hugging me tightly. "Promise you'll be okay." "I promise," I murmured, the lie tasting like ash. Alone again, obsession took the wheel. I fine-tuned the script, adding failsafes, anonymous proxies, timed self-deletion. The clock read 2:30 p.m. Suspense thickened the air, my pulse thundering in my ears. 2:45 I initiated. From a burner laptop in a park nearby, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones, I watched the connection establish. Green lights flickered. Access granted. The worm slithered in, invisible. Back home, I monitored via a mirror feed, the screen's blue glow illuminating my tense face. 3 p.m. struck. First, nothing, slow burn perfection. Then chaos bloomed. Alerts flooded my shadow dashboard. Servers lagging, queries timing out. I imagined the boardroom. Derek mid-pitch, screens freezing, investors murmuring. Panic would set in, fingers pointing. Suppressed rage bubbled up in me, a dark joy. My phone rang. Derek. Answered, voice neutral. "Harold. Systems are crashing. You know anything?" Innocence feigned. "Me? I'm out, remember? Too old." Pause fraught with accusation. "If this is you." "It's not," I cut in, but my tone dripped sarcasm. "Maybe your fresh blood missed something." He hung up, but the seed was planted. Tension peaked. Had I overplayed? Sirens wailed distantly, unrelated but ominous. As the crash escalated, databases offline, backups failing, guilt resurfaced. What about the team? Juniors scrambling, careers jeopardized. Moral grayness enveloped me. Justified, yet destructive. Then the twist hit like lightning. A hidden log surfaced in my feed. Not mine, but Derek's. In the panic, his admin privileges exposed emails. He'd fabricated performance reviews to justify my firing, pocketing a bonus for cost savings. But deeper. Evidence of embezzlement, siphoning funds to a personal account. My worm had unearthed it, broadcasting fragments to the cloud before self-destructing. Shock froze me. This wasn't just betrayal. It was criminal. Investors would see, authorities alerted. Poetic justice, unintended but profound. Sarah called again. Dad, the news, company's imploding. You didn't. No, I said, truth layered with omission. Relief washed over me, mingled with cold resolve. Revenge delivered, but at what cost? Derek's fall was mine, yet the moral scar remained. In the aftermath, as cop cars swarmed the office on the evening news, I sat in darkness. Heartbreak lingered, but obsession faded. The systems crashed, but so had my illusions. Justice tasted bittersweet, a hollow victory in the ruins of trust.